This is the Rebel Call channel. Welcome to today's show. Problem, reaction, solution. It's going to become the theme of our lifetime because everybody, no matter what political affiliation they have, can see that the world is filled with a lot of problems. What they can't seem to see is that these are manufactured problems. These are problems that the government is deliberately causing. Hence, look no further than New York City, right? Problem, reaction, solution. What's the problem in New York? Well, the problem is that crime is running amok and everybody's shrugging their shoulders. The mayor doesn't want to arrest everybody. You know, Mayor Adams, the guy who was just named a master mason a few months ago at a ceremony at Gracie Mansion. He was just named a master mason. So while crime is running amok, a guy who really has no intention of solving the problem is there to manufacture the problem, in fact, enhance the problem so that our government can come in with the solution. So the problem is the crime, right? The problem is the crime. The government's allowing the crime. And of course, the government is now introducing the solution to the problem. And the solution in New York City is AI gun detectors inside of the subways. And again, this is a violation of human rights. But this is what they have planned. This is what they want to bring about. This type of technology, this artificial intelligence technology, is going to be implemented in every smart city. You will not be able to bear arms in these cities. And again, people will see this and they'll say, that's a great idea. What's wrong with having a gun detector? What's wrong with that? You go through the airport and they have it, and they don't realize that the more this spreads, eventually this will be inside of your apartment complex. This will be on your property. This will be everywhere. This will be at a grocery store. That's the goal. Because we know ultimately they're not going to be able to remove everybody's right to bear arms, especially when everybody sees the government going rogue. And like I pointed out back when the outbreak occurred, we actually saw a spike in people who were becoming first-time owners of a thing that goes bang, bang, and they could hold in their hands, right? They were deciding to go out and get them because they were starting to worry that something was going on. And anybody out there that didn't go out there and get one, well, you better think twice before it is too late, because once the bans are in place, you won't be able to get one. But again, they're going to have a tough time getting this from people. So Mayor Adams, the Freemason, has made it known in New York that they're going to be running in the next 90 days AI gun detectors in the subways, and they're going to violate your human rights. And, well, let's take a look at what it's going to look like in New York City.
Mayor Eric Adams says he wants to bring gun-detecting body scanners into the city's subway system.
That's right. At a public safety press conference, the mayor said the devices could help New Yorkers feel safer after a number of high-profile incidents. Morgan McKay is live in Lower Manhattan with the very latest on this. Morgan, what are the details?
Hey, Chris and Bianca. So that press conference is still going on behind me, but pretty much today, Mayor Eric Adams and the police commissioner announcing that they have now filed online a report on these new body scanners, which will scan people entering the subway system for guns. So pretty much what that means is this kicks off a 90-day waiting period so that these scanners can be used in a pilot program. So take a look at these scanners. During this 90-day waiting period, the NYPD says it will be working to identify companies that are proven to have weapons detection technology. Adams emphasizing today that these scanners do not have facial recognition technology. At the same time, the Adams administration and Governor Kathy Hochul will be increasing investments in their mental health outreach teams. The NYPD says that as of this week, officers have seized a total of 450 weapons, including 19 illegal guns in the transit system so far this year. This compared to the 261 weapons, including 9 guns, during the same time period last year. So a really big jump here. Here is Adams with more on these new body scanners.
This is a Sputnik moment. When President Kennedy said we were going to put a man on the moon and everyone responded. Well, today we said we're going to bring technology that can identify guns and other dangerous weapons, and our private industry responded.
And the Adams administration just recently deployed an extra 800 officers into the transit system to combat crime and enforce fares.
So again, that is a police state. So What we're working with here is a bunch of people that believe everything they hear on the news. And on top of that, we have a bunch of people who can't seem to look past the fact that the government is shrugging their shoulders and playing incompetency, right? The conservatives think all the Democrats are incompetent. The fact of the matter is the Democrats are sabotaging, as are the Republicans, but the Democrats know exactly what they're doing. And they can get away with it because they're putting people in these positions of power who identify as different genders, who are black or who are not Caucasian. And then, of course, you have them doing these things. And if you question them, well, you're a hateful person, you're a racist, you name it. You're not allowed to question what their intentions are, even though they show you and tell us what their intentions are on a day in, day out basis. Now, I'm going to play for you now a clip that just aired in New York City, where they're going around asking people if they think that it's a good idea to have these gun detectors in the subways in New York. And of course, you'll be able to identify what the people who answer the question and say, yes, we need them. You can identify what they do inside of a bedroom, right? Go figure. You can look at them and you can go, you know what? I know that there's a certain highway this guy likes to ride. And of course, his answer is going to be, it's a good thing. We need this, right? Because it's not about human rights anymore. It's not about your rights. It's about safety. And the only reason anybody's concerned about their safety is because the government is making it dangerous for people to leave their homes. And they're doing it on purpose. Take a look at how people are reacting to this and the fact that people are okay with this.
Mayor Adams is an avowed techie who now wants weapon scanners installed in the subway. Is it an idea whose time has come? New Yorkers are weighing in on your point. Mayor Adams wants to install weapons detectors in the subway. Good idea, bad idea?
Good idea.
Bad idea.
A good idea.
Why?
Just because there's so much going on right now.
There's a lot of people getting on the subways with weapons, knives, guns, yes.
It encroaches on invasion, privacy.
You know, I'm not really for a lot of, scrutiny on the common man, but I'll take anything that makes our subway safer.
Live human beings is the best way. You know, having more live bodies, having more live protection.
Do you think that the weapons detectors will make the subway safer?
I do.
I don't think so.
They're a component.
I have no idea. But as my mother would have said, it couldn't hurt.
Will weapons detectors make the subway safer?
No.
Why?
Only physical bodies make subway safer. You not only do you need more law enforcement, but you need them in key places. They need to be on the trains themselves.
Are more police officers in the subway the answer?
No.
Why?
Absolutely not.
I just think their presence are there now and these things are still happening.
The quality of law enforcement is the answer, not more bodies.
I actually don't mind the police officers' presence. They're not really getting anybody's way.
It was safer before without this amount of police, right?
Is it possible to solve the safety issue on the subways?
To solve it, I mean, if you ask me, the safety issue has less to do with what's happening on the subway and more has to do with the way we treat unhoused and low-income people in the city at large.
I think it's dealing with mental illness and finding places for those. I think most of the lack of safety is about that.
I think it's possible, but I think it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of different angles.
So do you think it's possible to solve the subway safety problem?
Yes, but it's got to be presence of human beings there who will actually be able to take action.
I hope so. I love this city. You do too, right?
I do.
And I will not stop taking the subway. I travel with my gear on the subway, and I have to believe, overall, I have to believe in the goodness of people.
Do you think it's possible to solve the subway safety problem?
I think there are steps that we can take as a society to take care of each other and be better to each other, and those are the ways that we're going to fix this.
So now people think, because, again, this is how problem, reaction, solution works. People are thinking that this is a good idea for the government to do this because they feel unsafe on the subway. Instead of saying, you know what, I shouldn't feel unsafe on the subway. I shouldn't feel unsafe anywhere. Your job is to protect us. And the government's going, we're trying to protect you. We're trying to, but it's just it's running amok. So we're going to protect you. We promise. But we need to bring about this type of technology instead of using, old fashioned ideas like the police force or civilians arming themselves to protect themselves from any of these crimes happening to them. But what the government has done is they've told you, hey, if somebody comes to your front door and tries to rob your home and you shoot them or they squat on your property, you're actually at fault. And nobody's suspicious yet. Nobody's suspicious that people aren't allowed to defend themselves. They're not allowed to defend their private property. I mean, at what point is it going to get through to people out there who vote Democrat that when they talk about owning nothing in a communist society, I think it's socialism. They don't realize it's communism. And even some of them think it's a good idea. That when they talk about owning nothing, these people go, well, I don't have anything, and I'm mad that my neighbor has 4 cars and I have none. Well, are you going to be interested in sharing your children? Are you going to be interested in sharing your wife or your husband? Because that's a communist society. You literally own nothing. Your doors are wide open for anyone to come in and out because you don't own the property and you don't own the people in the home. And they may say, well, you don't own your people in your home. Oh, yeah. Well, when you start thinking in terms of your children yours, then you'll start saying to yourself, oh yeah, I guess I do technically own my children. And that's the mindset you should have, because once you allow other people to get their hands on your children and influence your children, well, then your children are likely to go down a very bad path. And that's the problem that we have in our society, right? This goes back to them getting the women out of the household, forcing the women in the workplace by psychologically telling them that if they don't work, they're not important. So women were lining up to get jobs, thinking that being a mother wasn't a job. And this was all done by design, of course, so that the children could be raised by the school system, which is a school system that is not allowed to have God involved. Then they're raised in a world of lies, and then the rest is history. And you look around us and you see how this world has become so disgusting and corrupt because children are being raised by the state. And that's exactly what they want. So back to this story. New York City will soon start testing out technology that uses AI to detect guns at subway turnstiles. And again, people are I guarantee you, when you talk to some of these zombies, they're going to shrug their shoulders and say, so what? Nobody should be carrying a gun on the subway anyway. And they don't get how this works. They don't get how it works. I mean, I agree no one should be carrying a gun on the subway. Guess what? Get rid of the guns that the military and the police have and all these government officials who get followed around by security guards who are carrying guns. If they all get rid of it, then everybody gets rid of it, right? But that's never going to happen in a trillion years. So the civilians should never give up their right to bear arms. But it's not about your safety on a subway. It's about enacting these types of rules everywhere until it's too late. And everyone's going to go, well, things are safer now that these are the stories that'll come out of this, right? New York City puts in this AI technology in the subway. Crime in the subways goes down. Everybody listens to the story on the news, and they come out and they go, I think it's a good thing. Crime's gone down all of a sudden. And you go, have you noticed that it's gone down there? Yeah, I haven't heard about it on the news. Oh, that's very convenient. That's very convenient, right? Don't mention to these people you won't hear any of the stories about, like some of the stuff going on in Australia, around the world about, crimes that are being committed with knives, etc. They don't, just keep a focus on those guns and then keep a focus on AI technology, monitoring your every single move and every single thing that is on your body. Because, of course, eventually this type of technology is not about measuring what you're wearing on your body. This type of technology will be in place to see what's inside your body. Because you're going to have certain things inside your body, or I should say a certain something inside your body to be able to get in and out of these buildings, in and out of these subways, get in and out of these smart cities. You're going to have to be connected to the World Wide Web. So you're going to need it inside of you. So that's what this really leads to. But it also shows you how desensitized people have become, thanks to that event that happened back on that 11th day of September, right? When they the TSA put all these new rules in on flying, everyone's become desensitized, like I say. So 20 plus years later, now we're talking about bringing technology like that into our subways. And this is where it goes. Look, let's use common sense here. It goes into your subways, then it goes into your grocery stores, then it goes into your school, and it continues and continues and continues. And people just go, wow, the statistics are showing that this is really working. And this is what they want. This is literally a police state, right? Now, don't worry about Mayor Adams and his Freemasonic buddies. They'll be walking around carrying, and they'll be protected by 50 guys who carry. But once you figure out what they're really doing, once you figure out the secret societies that are in place that are doing this, that are creating all this chaos, it'll be too late because Mayor Adams will have 50 people protecting him, and you'll have nothing on you to protect yourself, right? Because that's what it ends up being. And then all of these rich, they call them oligarchs, all these, let's just call them what they are. Rich psychopaths will be armed and protected, and you won't be. And people go, I don't care. What do I care? You'll care. You'll care, because the same way people like me and the people listening to this channel, our rights are infringed right now, it's going to happen to everybody. It's going to happen to all of you with your free speech. Everybody's going to be affected. It is an enslavement system. Don't matter your gender or your skin color, you're all equal slaves to these people. And this is how they get you to that point. So Adams said the city is partnering with Evolve, which is a weapons detection company whose detectors are used in schools and venues across the country. The pilot will start in 90 days in accordance with the Post Act, which requires that New York City Police Department disclose the surveillance technology it uses and publish impact and use statements before new technologies are put into place. Adams said the city will use the 90-day waiting period to vet other vendors. This city has a technology mayor. Adams said, bring us your technologies, let us test it, of course. Adams did not say where the scanners will be installed or how many will be in use, but we all know that he won't be affected by it, nor his bodyguards, and they'll be carrying weapons on the subway, etc., as will all these members of secret societies, but you won't. So the Evolve scanners are already in use at places like Citi Field, which is where the Mets play, the Lincoln Center, of course, at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Adams temporarily installed the Evolve scanner outside the entrance of City Hall in 2022 after a shooter opened fire in a subway car. That year, the city ran a similar Evolve pilot at a hospital in the Bronx, and this is going to be everywhere. This is the future, folks. And eventually, these detectors will not be detecting if you have weaponry on you. They'll be making sure that you have the mark inside of you. That's what eventually this leads to. The privacy of the civilians is not their concern. They'll tell you it's the safety of the civilians, and everybody will eat it up and believe it. But the reality is, the citizens are safe as long as these people in power, like Mayor Adams, aren't in power or walking our streets, because they're the ones behind all of it. Order out of chaos. They're creating all of this chaos, all of this crime, that they're literally looking at you and winking at you as this stuff is happening. And still, nobody goes, is anyone going to be held accountable for it? Their solution to the problem is what they've wanted all along: a police state, an artificial intelligence governance. And these are the steps that get you there. Anybody who looks at this as a good idea is a weak, cowardice person, but also a completely clueless person who wants to feel safe in their subways, but can't even figure out that their government are the ones enabling it, funding it, and allowing it. Because that, ladies and gentlemen, is how problem, reaction, solution works. And it only works if you're dumb enough to be duped into it. And sadly, in the year 2024, the majority of people, like you heard in that interview, are very easily manipulated. And they're being very easily manipulated by a wicked, rogue government. I thank you for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families, as always.